far beneath the waves, where sunlight disappears and pressure would crush almost any human-made machine, an ancient conversation has been unfolding for millions of years. Every day, powerful clicks echo across hundreds of miles. Long, haunting songs drift through the darkness. Families, separated by vast stretches of ocean, somehow remain connected. For generations, humans assumed these sounds were little more than instinct, beautiful, mysterious, but ultimately beyond understanding. We were wrong. Today, a new generation of scientists armed with artificial intelligence is uncovering patterns that no human ear could ever detect alone. Instead of hearing random noises, AI is revealing structure, repetition, and surprising complexity hidden inside whale vocalizations. And what researchers are discovering isn't simply another animal communication system. It may represent one of the most sophisticated non-human languages ever studied. The implications reach far beyond marine biology. They force us to ask an extraordinary question. If another intelligent species has been communicating on Earth all along, what else have we failed to understand? The journey toward that answer began decades before artificial intelligence ever existed. In the middle of the 20th century, whales were still widely viewed through a very different lens. Commercial whaling had pushed several species to the edge of extinction, and scientific knowledge of their behavior remained surprisingly limited. Researchers knew whales produce sounds. They simply didn't know why. Everything changed during the early 1970s. Marine biologists began placing underwater microphones, known as hydrophones, into the oceans to record humpback whales. What they captured astonished both scientists and the public. Instead of isolated calls, they found elaborate songs lasting many minutes, sometimes even hours. These songs weren't random. Individual phrases repeated with remarkable precision. Entire populations gradually modified their songs over time, almost as if new musical trends were spreading through whale communities. The discovery transformed public opinion. For the first time, millions of people realized whales possessed rich acoustic lives hidden beneath the ocean surface. Recordings of humpback whale songs became unexpectedly popular around the world and helped fuel the growing movement to protect marine mammals. Yet one mystery remained. Scientists could hear the songs, but they had no reliable way to understand what they meant. Were whales identifying themselves, searching for mates, sharing information, or communicating ideas far more complex than anyone imagined? For decades, researchers lacked one critical ingredient: not better microphones, not bigger computers. They needed a technology capable of recognizing patterns too subtle for the human brain. That technology finally arrived in the form of artificial intelligence. Machine learning systems excel at analyzing enormous amounts of data and discovering hidden relationships invisible to human observers. Instead of listening the way people do, AI examines every tiny detail: the spacing between clicks, the rhythm of repeated sounds, changes in timing measured in thousandths of a second, variations so slight that even experienced researchers could never consistently detect them by ear. Suddenly, millions of whale vocalizations collected over decades became more than archived recordings. They became a language waiting to be decoded. One international research effort decided to test just how far this technology could go. Its goal sounded almost impossible: use artificial intelligence to determine whether whales possess a structured communication system, and perhaps, one day, learn to speak back. Few believed such an ambitious project would succeed. The project brought together an unusual team: marine biologists who had spent decades studying whales, artificial intelligence researchers specializing in machine learning, linguists who understood how complex communication systems evolve, robotics engineers capable of designing instruments that could survive one of Earth's harshest environments. Each discipline contributed a piece of a puzzle that none could solve alone. Among the scientists leading the effort was marine biologist Dr. David Gruber, whose vision was both ambitious and unconventional. Rather than treating whale communication as simple animal behavior, he proposed studying it as researchers might study an unknown language. The inspiration came from an unexpected place. For decades, astronomers involved in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, better known as SETI, had developed techniques for detecting intelligent signals from distant civilizations. Gruber asked a remarkable question. Why search only the stars? Earth already shares its oceans with another highly intelligent species. Perhaps the first alien language humanity would ever decode wasn't extraterrestrial at all. Perhaps it had been surrounding us for millions of years. The focus quickly shifted toward one extraordinary animal, the sperm whale. Unlike humpback whales, famous for their long songs, sperm whales communicate primarily through rapid bursts of powerful clicks known as codas. These clicks are astonishing. They are among the loudest biological sounds ever recorded, reaching intensities capable of traveling for many kilometers through seawater. But loudness wasn't what interested researchers. It was consistency. Entire whale families appeared to repeat certain click patterns over and over again. Different families used different combinations. Young calves gradually learned the patterns used by older relatives. It looked less like instinct and more like culture. To investigate properly, scientists established one of the most advanced underwater listening networks ever created. The location was carefully chosen: the Caribbean island of Dominica. Just offshore, the ocean floor drops dramatically into deep water, allowing sperm whales to approach remarkably close to land. The same family groups return there year after year, making it one of the world's best natural laboratories for long-term whale research. Researchers installed extensive arrays of underwater hydrophones across the study area. Unlike a single microphone, dozens of synchronized sensors could determine not only what sound was made, but exactly which whale produced it. That distinction was essential. Understanding language requires knowing who is speaking. The scientists didn't stop there. Specially designed, non-invasive suction cup tags were temporarily attached to individual whales. These lightweight devices recorded sound directly from the animal while simultaneously measuring movement, depth, orientation, and behavior. For the first time, researchers could match every vocalization with real-world context. Was the whale hunting, swimming with family, caring for a calf, resting, traveling? Each behavior became another clue. Over months, then years, the recordings accumulated. Millions of clicks, millions of behavioral observations. One of the largest collections of whale communication ever assembled. No human team could manually analyze such an enormous archive. Artificial intelligence became indispensable. Researchers converted every sound into detailed visual spectrograms, allowing machine learning algorithms to examine patterns impossible for human ears to detect. Instead of asking computers what each click meant, scientists allowed the AI to search for recurring structures entirely on its own. Slowly, patterns began emerging. Certain click sequences repeatedly appeared together. Others changed depending on the whale's activity. Some combinations appeared almost exclusively within particular family groups. The deeper the AI searched, the more organized the communication system appeared. Then came the breakthrough. Researchers realized the whales weren't simply repeating fixed signals. They were modifying them. Tiny changes in rhythm, subtle pauses, additional clicks, inserted at precise moments. Each alteration seemed capable of changing the overall meaning. It resembled something surprisingly familiar. Not random animal calls, but the building blocks of language itself. The discovery stunned the research team. After decades of believing whale communication consisted mainly of instinctive vocalizations, artificial intelligence suggested something far more sophisticated was hidden beneath the surface. And what the algorithms uncovered next would challenge one of humanity's oldest assumptions about language itself. Language of whales using AI. And it's not what you. The more data the artificial intelligence processed, the more remarkable the communication system became. Researchers had expected to find a collection of fixed signals. A call for danger. A signal for food. Perhaps a sound used to keep families together. Instead, The AI revealed a communication system that appeared to be built from smaller reusable elements. Just as human languages combine letters into words and words into sentences, sperm whales seem to combine different acoustic features into countless unique expressions. The discovery emerged after machine learning models analyzed millions of recorded codas, short sequences of clicks exchanged between whales. Instead of treating each coda as an isolated sound, the AI compared thousands of tiny differences in rhythm, spacing, tempo, and duration. Patterns began repeating. Certain click combinations appeared in multiple situations. Others changed only slightly, yet always within similar social contexts. This suggested something extraordinary. The whales were not memorizing thousands of separate calls. They appeared to be modifying familiar patterns to create new meanings. Scientists describe this as a communication system with structural rules rather than random signals. That distinction changed everything. It meant whale communication might possess something surprisingly similar to grammar. One small change, an extra click, a slightly longer pause, a different rhythm, and the entire meaning could shift. To the human ear, these variations sounded almost identical. To artificial intelligence, they were unmistakable. Even more fascinating was the discovery of dialects. Not every sperm whale family communicated exactly the same way. Different family groups consistently favored different versions of similar codas. These vocal traditions were passed from mothers to calves over many years. Young whales gradually adopted the distinctive communication style of their own social group. Researchers realized they were witnessing cultural inheritance. Just as children learn the language, accent, and expressions spoken around them, young whales appeared to learn the communication traditions of their families. That meant information wasn't being transmitted only through genetics. Knowledge itself was being passed from one generation to the next. Artificial intelligence also revealed another unexpected pattern. Communication changed depending on social relationships. Close family members exchanged certain codas far more frequently than unrelated whales. Calves responded differently to their mothers than to other adults. Older females appeared to play especially important roles within these conversations, coordinating movements and maintaining contact across large distances. Instead of isolated individuals, scientists began seeing interconnected societies. Every whale occupied a social network filled with lifelong relationships. Some family groups remained together for decades. Grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, and calves all contributed to remarkably stable communities that survived across generations. The AI wasn't merely identifying sounds anymore. It was uncovering the structure of whale society itself. Researchers could increasingly predict which whales were communicating, how they were related, and even what type of social interaction was taking place. This represented a dramatic shift in marine biology. For centuries, whales had been studied primarily through observation. Scientists watched where they traveled, how they hunted, when they surfaced. Now, for the first time, researchers could begin exploring what whales might actually be saying to one another. The implications reached beyond biology. If another species independently evolved a highly structured communication system, perhaps complex language is not uniquely human after all. Perhaps intelligence can develop along very different evolutionary paths while arriving at surprisingly similar solutions. That possibility has captured the attention of linguists, neuroscientists, computer scientists, and even astronomers searching for intelligent life beyond Earth. Because learning to recognize an unfamiliar language on our own planet may ultimately prepare humanity to recognize one somewhere else. But the scientists leading this research had an even more ambitious goal. Listening was only the beginning. The next challenge was almost unimaginable. Could humans someday communicate with whales using their own language? The first real-world experiments attempting exactly that have already begun, and the early results surprised even the researchers conducting them. For decades, scientists had accepted one simple limitation. Humans could observe whales. Humans could record whales. But true communication between our species seemed impossible. Artificial intelligence changed that assumption. Once researchers began recognizing consistent patterns in sperm whale codas, an obvious question emerged. If we understand the structure, could we answer back? The goal was never to teach whales human language, nor was it to force them into artificial interactions. Instead, scientists hoped to produce simple acoustic messages that followed the natural rules already used by whale families. Every experimental signal had to sound authentic. The rhythm, the spacing, the timing, even the intensity of each click had to closely match what whales naturally produced. Using specially designed underwater speakers, researchers cautiously began playback experiments in the waters around Dominica. These tests were carefully controlled. Scientists selected familiar codas that had already been recorded repeatedly from local whale families. When one of those patterns was played underwater, everyone waited. Seconds passed. Then came a reply. A nearby sperm whale answered with a similar coda. The exchange lasted only a brief moment. Researchers were careful not to describe it as a conversation. They emphasized that a single response does not prove humans understand whale language. But it demonstrated something remarkable. The whale had recognized the acoustic pattern as meaningful rather than ignoring it as random underwater noise. For the first time, scientists had evidence that carefully generated signals could become part of a genuine exchange between species. That possibility has enormous implications. Imagine learning how whale families coordinate deep dives across thousands of meters, understanding how mothers teach calves, discovering how social bonds are maintained over decades, or recognizing distress calls early enough to protect whales from ship traffic, fishing gear, or underwater noise pollution. Communication could become one of conservation's most powerful tools. Yet the researchers remain extraordinarily cautious. Every interaction carries responsibility. Whale societies evolved over millions of years without human influence. Repeated communication experiments could unintentionally alter natural behavior if conducted carelessly. For that reason, marine biologists, ethicists, linguists, and conservation specialists work together before any new playback study is approved. The objective is understanding, not interference. Artificial intelligence continues improving every year. As more recordings are collected, machine learning models become increasingly accurate. Researchers hope similar methods may soon help decode the communication of orcas, dolphins, pilot whales, elephants, bats, and many other highly social species. Each discovery raises the same extraordinary possibility. Perhaps Earth has always been filled with conversations we simply lacked the technology to hear. The greatest surprise isn't that whales communicate. It is how sophisticated that communication appears to be. Complex rhythms, family dialects, cultural traditions passed across generations, stable social networks lasting entire lifetimes. Together, these discoveries paint a picture of intelligence that developed independently from our own, yet shares remarkable similarities. In many ways, the project has become more than a marine biology experiment. It is a test of humanity itself. Can we learn to understand another intelligent species without trying to dominate it? Can technology help us become better listeners rather than louder speakers? And if we eventually succeed, the first true conversation humanity has with another intelligence may not happen on another planet. It may happen right here on Earth, in the silent blue depths of our own oceans. For centuries, the whales have been speaking. Only now are we beginning to understand that they may have been telling stories all along. Perhaps the greatest discovery isn't what artificial intelligence has taught us about whales. It's what the whales are teaching us about intelligence, communication, and our place among the living world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more original, research-based stories exploring history, science, and the remarkable discoveries changing how we understand our planet.